Hello and welcome back to the Facts of Facts, the only Facts of Life podcast that gave himself a buzz cut in honor of today's episode.
You did.
I did.
So you're following the usual quarantine protocols of doing something interesting to your hair, your face. Have you started your sourdough starter yet? Have you started regrowing your scallions?
All of my food is individually wrapped. That's how I eat anyway. So I'm not starting a sourdough. I'm not doing nothing like that. I'm just continually being gross. I've gained about 10 pounds during this quarantine so far. My Where's the Beef shirt is showing where all the beef is now. But yeah, no, we're doing good.
Is it feeling a little snug?
It's a little snug. Everything I own is a little snug right now. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I have to say that I have been actually following the quarantine stereotypes. I did do my sourdough starter. I made sourdough bread that took 2 weeks. There's your cat. I have been regrowing my scallions.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's right. And also I said to my husband, I was like, I really want to explore extremely tedious and time-consuming activities. And he was like, are you serious? And I said, yes. Why do you think I've been doing the Facts of Life for 3 years now? So.
Well, I am proud of you. We didn't mention it last week because I'm a fuck up. But last week was our 50th episode.
I know.
So congratulations to you, Britt, on 50 episodes of greatness, and now this one, hopefully.
Yes. Also, I have to make one correction. Speaking about last week, you mentioned about how you went to the grocery store to buy old Easter candy.
Yes.
You wanted to go Cadbury cream eggs, and so you put your mask and your gloves on and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then, sorry, I'm misremembering that. You did that right after Easter, and then you said, I ordered a lot of old Easter candy online, and it just arrived, and it was all the Cadbury cream eggs. And I said,
not arrived yet. I will let you know. There will be a photo shoot. I'll make it available on the Facts of Life page, everything.
Please put that content up, because people in this desperate time are desperate for content. You should do an unboxing. You should do an unpeeling of the egg.
That's true.
Anyway, yeah. So I misspoke. I said that reminded me of a story of one of our of a guest of ours who is our theater correspondent, who listened to the episode that day and then texted me that night. And this is how he just started it. One text that just said, ahem. And he was like, and it was just like the I message like ... Someone is typing, and I was like sweating bullets, like, oh God, it's about the Cadbury cream egg thing that I said. And he said he wanted me to correct the record, saying that the reason he fell asleep all the time in London was not because he was only subsisting on Cadbury cream eggs, which he was, and they're delicious, but that he was being woken up every morning at 7 a.m. to go out and see all the tourist destinations. So what would a teenager who was jet lagged do as soon as they hit a darkened room? But fall asleep.
Well, we love you, Michael, and we're so sorry that we misrepresented your sleep habits and the relationship to Cadbury cream eggs that it may or may not have had. All right. Speaking of things that maybe could have been forgotten, this episode, that was a terrible transition, but also this was a terrible episode, so that's fine. And that was a good transition.
Exactly. This is a terrible transition to a possible new show. This is a backdoor pilot for the Academy, I guess it's going to be named.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a couple things that I want to go on record about, particularly the Academy is not the only time that this cast will band together and make a backdoor pilot for this show. They're going to do it again next season.
So
everyone's coming back.
So basically this is stop trying to make fetch happen.
100%. Well, this is the first time fetch is attempted to happen. Next time will be stop trying to make fetch happen. But oof, why? I understand we want an alternate universe where there is a male Facts of Life gang. But do we?
No, of course not. But I also think that do you want to lay the groundwork of this episode?
Well, the other thing that I wanted to say is that we are in such a weird pocket of the Facts of Life. We did 2 episodes in New York, then we did 2 episodes about Natalie's privacy, and then we do 2 episodes of backdoor pilotdom, which is such a weird choice. They really, really were confident that the audience was not going to go away.
Yeah. There was it's weird because I think especially the episodes, the back-to-back episodes of Natalie's problems, which basically are around Natalie having a conflict with Blair around privacy. It was the exact same episode, one after the other, where it was sort of like they were confident enough to be like, you know what our audience wants? They want this again. They want this part done.
Yeah. Just like they were like, you know what the audience wants? This diner set. Isn't this diner set beautiful? Let's keep it up and write an episode around it next week.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, and now we're going to have 2 backdoor pilots towards the end of the season. We get 1 normal episode. It's not like a cliffhanger or anything. It's just people trying to ban books at Eastland. That'll be our finale before we go to Paris. This season's off the rails. This is weird. Just so you know. This is not how the show usually rolls.
It also doesn't feel like how any show rolls. Like it's like we're gonna you know what we need to do? We need to save a few bucks and we need to reuse that set. Then we need to save a few bucks and save that old script. Just kind of change in some other shit. And then, you know what? Since we saved all that money, let's do 2 backdoor pilots with random strangers we've never seen and we'll never see again.
No. I think that saved the money. I think that people who wanted those pilots produced had to pay into that. But I will say this. I think that all that money was being saved for one giant expense, and that is the Facts of Life Go to Paris, because that's just a movie. Set in Paris, shot on location, ugly as fuck, but
still there. Okay. Also, let me just say one thing, just as a note as we keep going. I just want to say that so for all our listeners out there who are not currently in Los Angeles or Southern California, it has been 100 degrees for the past 3 days, and it is April. So that's why I am currently sweating and also wet, because it's been rough. Can't go outside, and it's 100 degrees. So.
Yes, I am where the air conditioner is. And I have kept it on for the first time in this podcast, and I apologize if you guys get any hum that you hear, but otherwise I will be shirtless and soaking wet by the end of this podcast, and I think a very, very small minority of listeners would be pleased by that.
Yeah, it's basically like Bert Kreischer now. It's like you're just taking your clothes off immediately as soon as you start doing this.
Yeah, that's what I should do. I feel like that's where my calling is. Anyway, so this is a Jerry Mayer written episode, and I've really come to the conclusion at this point. He's our worst writer.
Okay, what else did he do?
A lot of them. He's done several of them, and every time he does one, it's like, it's rapey. It's trying to be moralistic. It's slow. It's never funny. The jokes make no sense. And this is just absolutely another one of those lines. And also it's an Azad Kalada episode, which means absolutely nothing to me anymore.
I mean, at least this is sort of competently directed. Like people came
on
and left and hit their marks and hit the beat and then just went off. You know,
I will say there is one point where it is not competently directed, where it's where we're trying to get like the bits of Tootie and Natalie's dates, and so like Natalie walks by like, you know, in front of the camera and has her like introductory line, and then then Chip and Tootie walk right in front of the camera. It's just so awkward. It's like, we need to have this conversation about my name being an ice cream flavor right over here for no reason. It's very strange, but we will get there. Okay, we open in the lounge.
Yeah.
And the telephone's ringing, and all rules about telephone answering seem to have been dissolved from last week.
Well, yeah, because Tootie said, forget all the rules.
That's right, and they did. So continuity.
Yeah.
Blair answers the phone like she's a phone sex operator that just baked a fresh blueberry pie. It's just a weird dichotomy, but it's really there.
Yeah. Hello? While Joe comes in with a part of a car.
Yes, I would have totally loved to have defined that, but I didn't know either. I'm so glad that that's what you called it.
It looked like a bumper, maybe a bumper, maybe something that goes around a wheel.
I was thinking it was like the grill.
It could have been a grill, but she just brought it into where they work and hang out to clean it.
Sure, because that's what Joe's got a Joe.
True.
Anyway, so the person on the phone was looking for anyone other than Blair, it seems.
Well, yeah. Blair says, yes, she is. And who might I tell her who's calling? And then and then she takes the phone away from her hand. Without listening, she goes, it's a baritone. That's
not his name.
Not his name. That's not direction. It's like, she could have been like, ooh, hold on, please. It's a baritone. It's Buzz, the baritone.
Yeah, no, just like, I'm just going to give you his singing range.
Yeah, super.
And you guys can guess.
Oh, he's a baritone? That must be my friend Buzz. Yeah.
Oh, no. Natalie thinks it's for her because she's been waiting for that call, whoever he is. No shit you have, Natalie.
Yeah, I wrote down, Natalie, we know you have no self-worth. It could be a random stranger and be like, can I talk to you?
Yeah, Natalie's lack of self-worth will come into play this episode.
It does. And the other thing is, speaking of random people calling and having a conversation, I read a whole article about how, because everyone is self-isolating and at home, people who do the, like, not robocalls, but are actual humans who call people being like, hello, Dominic, would you mind taking a survey about your most recent response at Best Buy? Most people just hang up, but now people are like, yes, I would love to. What do you want to know? And it's like, they want to have these very long conversations with like phone operators that are just, or like, I literally want you to answer like 2 yes or no questions so I can get off the phone and, move on to my next call. Whereas people now, because they're in quarantine and have no one to talk to, they're like, so then my last husband cheated on me with our neighbor. And it's this weird thing. Anyway, so that's Natalie right now. She's like, I will literally talk to anyone who calls.
Yeah, I don't remember Natalie being this thirsty as a kid. Like, when I watched the show, I thought Natalie was just the funny one, but she's the thirsty one. And it turns out it's for... Oh, sorry?
And yet, I will say this. The Natalie at the academy, the boy version of Natalie, Alfred, somehow more pathetic than Natalie.
Yes, that is true.
Did you see the movie Us? The Jordan Peele movie? Us?
No, I didn't.
So do you know this the premise?
Not really.
Okay,
Give it to the audience.
So the people who are like us that live on, in this realm, in this world, we also have a doppelganger who's our tethered, who lives below us, who basically, they're our slaves. The Academy boys are the Eastland girls' tethers.
Ah, okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, so we learned that the phone call is for Joe, which repulses her until she finds out that it's Buzz from Stone Military Academy. And then she jumps up excitedly and shoos them all away, and I would too, because it's fucking Dreamboat Jimmy Bayo.
Oh, yes. Who, the best thing, she goes, oh, hey, Buzz, how you doing? You're in military school? How'd that happen? And the best thing is it cuts to him, and he's smoking a cigarette like this. Not like
I thought it was a joint.
I did too, but in 1982, pretty sure no kid at a military academy would be smoking a joint on the phone in their...
He had a joint in his gun.
Yeah, but he was hiding it there.
Well, yeah, I assumed that was joint continuity. He's a guy that has joints, but I don't know. Either way, amazing. Mwah. Loved it. So let's talk about Jimmy Baio, or as I like to call him, Dreamy Baio. He's not he's not Scott's brother. He's actually Scott Baio's cousin, and was one of my very first crushes because he played Billy Tate on Soap.
Billy Taint?
No. Billy Tate. And I just want to keep in mind everybody in the audience who's like, ugh, I was his age when I was watching him on Soap. So it's okay.
Okay.
Anyway, and he had this storyline where he hooked up with his teacher, and it was so hot. He was also in the 1986 movie Playing for Keeps, which I'm well aware of. It's like a classic, a quintessential 80s movie where they're rebuilding the orphanage, like that kind of movie.
Yeah.
It has a exclusive Arcadia song on the soundtrack. Arcadia is a Duran Duran spinoff, and Arcadia is like the best that Duran Duran can do, in my opinion. So this was like a rare, exciting thing. So I knew Playing for Keeps, I knew Soap, I knew him here. I thought he was ubiquitous.
Okay.
But he's only got 16 credits, so.
Okay.
Anyway, a lot of them are really small nothings. He got his start on the short-lived sitcom Joe and Sons, no relation, not our Joe. And it starred Clemenza from The Godfather.
Okay.
As Joe. He was in Bad News Bears Breaking Training, and he also did the Love Boat TV movie, as well as the subsequent Love Boat episode, a single one. A couple of Fantasy Islands, did a Matlock, and then and they disappeared, but he came back in 1993 and was in the film Kiss and Be Killed. And he ended his career playing Jimmy the Waiter in The Mirror Has Two Faces. Oh,
that's that Barbra Streisand movie.
That's correct.
Nick Nolte?
He's also... Sorry?
With Nick Nolte?
Yes.
Yeah. Or the whole didn't she direct that movie?
I think she might have.
Yeah, and the whole thing is very like Vaseline Scream.
I should watch it. I've never seen it.
Yeah, put that on your quarantine list.
I will. Jimmy Baio is also very public about disagreeing with Scott Baio's politics on social media, which means he's still dreamy as far as I'm concerned.
Fair enough.
Anyway, so Joe does ask him how he got into military school. And he says it's a long, sad story. Him and Kennedy Airport had a misunderstanding. Takes a puff of his joint or his cigarette. Either way, you can tell the editors were trying to edit around it because there was like no breathing room in his cuts.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know about the Kennedy Airport situation?
No.
Okay. So as soon as I heard that, this was made in 1982, no?
Bingo.
Okay. So, have you ever seen the movie Goodfellas?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a cinema lesson. This is the reason I know this, not because I knew about, airport heists in 1982.
I bet Molly Ringwald did.
For sure.
She knows everything.
So in Goodfellas, the film, right, which is based on an actual mob situation in New York City. There's a very famous sequence in the film, which is how I know about it, where in 1978 these mobsters stole millions of dollars worth of just cash and jewelry from the Lufthansa vault at Kennedy Airport, and that made its way into the Goodfellas movie, which came out after this episode. But that's clearly like part of the New York psyche, where they're trying to set this kid up as being kind of hot from the streets, who's a thief. But, it's such a funny thing to think of this 16-year-old or whatever going to Kennedy Airport and stealing suitcases. But that's
what's in there.
Reference. That's the reference.
Yes, got it. That's interesting. So we can kind of say that Facts of Life inspired not just The Simpsons, but also Goodfellas.
No. This was a reference to an actual event that happened in 1978 that then Goodfellas made into a movie.
Because they were reminded of it by this episode.
That's probably correct. Nicholas Pileggi and Martin Scorsese watched this episode and they thought, you know what? that little kid, let's just age him up and make him into a gangster. Sounds about right.
Anyway, moving on. Jimmy needs a favor. Sorry, Buzz. Jimmy. Buzz needs a favor. It sounds like such a guy I would date. Just like calling out of nowhere. Hey, I was stealing luggage. Now I'm in military school. I need a favor. Sure. What is it, Jimmy? Buzz. Buzz needs a date to the military dance. And Joe's like, fuck no. I'd never go to one of those. Not even with you. And Buzz is like, not you. You have a penis.
No,
anyway, Joe
like,
does go.
Yeah, he's like, you're a piece of shit hoe bag garbage person. I want someone with class. Yeah. And then Joe said, you were smart to do this over the phone.
He was. What a fucking cunty thing. And also, like, she goes to the dance. She's so adamant here that I will never do this, even if it's a favor for you. And he's like, no, not you. I need somebody hot. And then she's like, okay, well, I will go to the dance.
Yeah.
Fucking Jerry Mayer. Anyway, rightfully pissed. Nevertheless, Buzz persisted, saying he wants a rich and famous Candace Bergen type. I wonder where this is going. Yeah. Blair enters the room.
And then picks up. She's like, oh, here's this thing I left in here. And then goes at Joe. She waves.
I know. Because you know what? Joe lays her hands on a Candace Bergen type every night once the lights go out and they hear Natalie snoring, even though Joe's the one with the snoring problem. Anyway, she says she can loan her blonde out to him without problem. Then he explains the situation. It's not like, hey, here's my situation. Can you do me this solid? That would have been normal. But no, he's like, oh, now that you've agreed, here's my situation. I lied, and my corporal is expecting one of my gang groupies to show up.
Well, yeah, no, I think that obviously that's because Jerry Mayer thought that this was kind of like a punchline. And also, it was a little bit to sort of, because, gang groupies is such a funny thing to say, but also it was to maybe a little bit set up the fact that Buzz is manipulative.
A bit, yes. He is manipulative. He's like manipulative Joe. Like, that's the one characteristic Joe doesn't have that makes all of her shitty behavior, telling everybody to go kill themselves, makes it okay.
Yes.
But anyway, Buzz is going to show this corporal what could go wrong, maybe everything about this episode. Joe gets the inevitable and understands he ran his mouth bragging about a girlfriend he didn't have, and he's weirdly unrepentant about it, and she's totally like, cool. Respect.
Yeah.
So weird. Mm-hmm. She says she's going to see what she can do. Then, even though she never said she'd go to one of these, he's like, you come too, I'll fix you up on a date. She's like, I'm not a charity case. And these are confusing signals. Yeah. They don't add up to anything.
No.
Anyway, so she agrees. Sorry.
She'll go because she's got to keep an eye on Blair. I mean, do you really need to take it? It doesn't, And then he's like, Blair. Sounds classy. Then she goes and, out of her way to insult him, and she says as little as possible.
That is correct. I will say that maybe it makes sense to bring Joe around now that I hear it out loud, because, like, the sexual assaults have calmed down significantly.
You're breaking up. Is it me? Oh.
I don't know. Okay. I hear you. How about you? You hear me?
You look very blurry.
All right. Well, hopefully that will solve quickly. But anyway, so yes, all I was going to say was that since Joe's been around, the sexual assaults have kind of come down a little bit. So maybe it makes sense to bring her along to a all boys academy where nothing good's going to happen. Anyway, she's going to tell him nothing. She's just going to play a weird little game with Blair. Blair is Joe's puppet, and he's like, "Cool, I like it. You're a freak."
Sounds great. Yeah.
And then horny, sociopathic, and Rich come in asking questions.
Yeah, they're all like, they stream in, being like, I heard military. I heard a dance. And then Blair says, I bet Buzz was calling for a date. And then Joe does this big old song and dance about how, I mean, I wish he was calling for me, but you know, I should have known better than to have fallen for a gorgeous general's son.
Now Blair needs to fuck him immediately. Plan worked
Yeah,
easily. That was all she needed to say. It was amazing. It was like, boop.
that's true. But I will say this. I don't know if you noticed this, but sidebar, the weird, scary corridor exit that goes out of the lounge is back. It's just a brick wall and an open doorway.
They were really trying to make that happen. That is the fetch. That's the fetch that's trying to happen. And then Joe subtly drops that he dates Gloria Vanderbilt's daughter, among other top Debs, and top Debs was actually funny. No?
What?
Top Debs?
What? Top Debs?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's funny. But like, here's the thing: is that like he dates all these like socialites and whatever. But as soon as I heard Gloria Vanderbilt's daughter, I was like, no. That, and someone like Blair would know that she doesn't have it.
I wondered if this was a gay joke on Anderson Cooper from the future, maybe like transphobic. You know, we should get outraged.
Yeah, we should get outraged. I mean, but at this point, I'm not even. I guess maybe Anderson had been born.
Oh, he was their age. I did all the math.
Oh, so yeah, he was their age when in 1982. He's that much older than we are. Oh. Anyway, do you want to do a little deep dive on Gloria Vanderbilt?
Bring it.
Okay, so these daughters never existed. She had 4 sons, but in keeping with Facts of Life. Their whole business where they like to cross-promote things like Mary Hart, and like that weird random Nintendo game or the soccer thing or whatever.
Mary Hart.
There was a whatever. There was a
Mary
1982.
Hart's from E.T., so it's funny.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, there was a 1982 miniseries about Gloria Vanderbilt's tumultuous young life. So. This was probably like part of like they were like, you know what we need to do when the Facts of Life is on, we need to talk about Gloria Vanderbilt so that the people who watch that want to watch the miniseries. Anyway, you know who played her?
Who?
Gloria Vanderbilt when she was a little girl, because her mom and her aunt had a very contentious custody battle over her when she was a little girl, because. You know, it was the aunt was saying that the mom was fucking around, and the aunt was kind of like mean and whatever. But the Gloria Vanderbilt, when she was part of the Vanderbilt fortune, so she had a huge trust. She was worth like almost $100 million when she was like 4 years old. So it was just these women trying to get control this little girl. Anyway, I looked it up. The person that played Gloria Vanderbilt as a little girl in this custody battle miniseries was played by someone named Jennifer Dundas.
Oh, you broke up just
most
on
well known. This is Jennifer Dundas.
Okay.
Portrayed her in this miniseries, and I looked her up on her Wikipedia. It says Jennifer Dundas is most well known for her role in The First Wives Club as Diane Keaton's lesbian daughter. That's how her she's like, yeah, I'm fine with having that be my first thing on Wikipedia.
Why not? That's a good role. I remember that. All that popped into my head.
Anyway, so Gloria Vanderbilt was well known for being a socialite and an heiress and a model, and obviously for her jeans, which were very tight and had her signature on the ass, right? She wrote a few books.
And brought forth Anderson Cooper.
Well, yes, of course. So she wrote a number of books. A couple about like interior design, and like she wrote a couple with Anderson Cooper that was like basically like, I love my gay son, bullshit like that. But she also wrote 5 personal memoirs. But also, notably, fiction. And her last fiction book came out in the late 2000s. She only died in like the last 3 years. Was called Obsession, an erotic tale.
Ooh.
I know. The other thing, so she had 4 husbands. The first one was a Hollywood agent and a possible mobster. The second one was a conductor with whom she had 2 sons. Third one was Sidney Lumet. No children. And then the last one was the writer-actor Wyatt Emery Cooper, with whom she had Anderson, who's the baby, and her other son, Carter Cooper, who killed himself by leaping out of their apartment at 23 years old.
I did read that.
But her lovers also included. And she's the gift that keeps on giving. Marlon Brando, Frank Sinatra, Howard Hughes.
All right.
And here's the curveball, Roald Dahl.
That is a curveball.
Yeah. Anyway, let's keep moving from Gloria Vanderbilt.
All right, I like it. Anyway, so yes, he dates Gloria Vanderbilt's daughter, among other top debs, and that sent Blair into a vaginally frothing frenzy. Joe says that she would set them up, but she knows Blair's policy on blind dates, and Blair shrieks, call him. Horny and sociopathic. They want dates too. That's never been to a military ball. She hasn't been on many dates since all those hand jobs she gave. And Tootie's there too.
Yeah, no, and she's like, well, Joe's like, that's a tall order. And Natalie's like, well, yeah, that reminds me. You're right, tall, dark, and handsome. And then Tootie says, okay, tall for her, but dark and handsome for me.
Like there's only
what ends up
adjectives to go around.
Yeah, but also what that means is that Tootie presumably is hinting, I want someone black.
Yes, but not hinting, stating it outright.
But also what this is doing is that it's setting Natalie up for deep, deep disappointment, because all she gets is tall. That's the only thing that she wanted or desires. And she gets the shortest person in the world.
Well, also, I mean, like, Tootie literally removed 2 adjectives from Natalie's guy.
Yeah.
Like, she's not getting handsome and she's not getting dark. She can have one and it's going to be tall. Tall, fat dork, I don't care. Like, you didn't get that. Yeah. She's like, that's fine. But yeah, I thought that was weird of Tootie to just take them away and also be like, and give me a black one, please.
Well, yeah.
Anyway.
But I get tall, dark, and handsome. Like, I get that, like, whole thing. But it's like, it's such a funny thing where it's like a 12-year-old girl is like, I want dark and handsome. And then leaving the dregs behind is for Natalie is just so that she gets tall. And then to like mush it in further because Natalie can't get happiness ever. She gets the short child.
She does.
She gets Alfred, who is like a tiny little person who's not only annoying, but also skipped to. So he's like younger than Natalie's like 15 years old, and here she is dating a 11-year-old.
Yeah, no, it's bad news, but there's going to be continuity. See, Alfred's going to be in a boxing fight next year, and he's going to actually say he needs his girlfriend Natalie to come by.
Here we go.
Yeah, and you get to see Alfred with his shirt off, too.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to that. Also, you look so blurry right now. Do I look blurry?
No, you look great.
Okay. Maybe it's on my end. I don't know.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's just a temporary glitch. If I'm blurry, guys, sorry. And worst case scenario, you'll still get the audio. It'll be fine. Anyway, sure. We are out of scene 1.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
I will say, this episode felt like the longest 25 minutes of my life.
Oh, man. What about the last episode?
No, that one breezed by. But I have to say that that's partly my own fault because I started watching next week's episode and I watched 5 minutes of that, which might have contributed to the fact that this felt extra long. That was my bad.
That was fine. Anyway, so we're now in Stone Military Academy, located in Backdoor Pilot, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
This scene is a lot of work for me. Just letting you know, when I had to go through this scene introducing all these cast members, oh man, I took like a nap in the middle of it.
Can I pause you for a second?
Go ahead.
You said that this was located in Pennsylvania. Is that true, or you just
I know I just said Backdoor Pilot, Pennsylvania. No, I just made it up.
That's fine. Because I was confused, because I would be like, this is basically West Point, which is in New York State, which makes sense because that's very close to Peekskill.
All right, Backdoor Pilot, New York doesn't have quite the same ring to it. That's why I moved it a state. Anyway,
well,
so everyone's.
I just like being the geography person on this show to keep you honest, because you're always like, Peekskill is in Canada, and I'm like, no. It's 5 minutes from New York. 45 minutes.
5. Anyway, Stone Military Academy. Everybody's scrambling to clean up their dorms. There's about to be a surprise inspection, but Buzz knows because he's got an inside track because Buzz is cool. We're trying to introduce a lot of characters here. Buzz tells Alfred, who's made a big impact on you, Alfred, to make sure the corners are in tip-top shape. Alfred is dumpy, so he's obviously Natalie's. And then there's a black guy making the bed in the background that's obviously Tootie's. Alfred's not going under his bed without a gun. I don't know what kind of joke that means, but
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yes, please.
Buzz is shining his shoe, which is a typical like military school thing to be doing, because everything needs to be very shiny and very neat and tucked in and blah blah blah, right? And he yells at Alfred and says, "Don't forget that crud from under the bed, Alfred. My sources tell me that's where the general is inspecting with his little white glove." That's an ass joke.
How?
If someone came in and said to you, "Don't forget that crud," that's where they're going to be inspecting with their little white glove.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
For sure.
No.
Yes. Yeah. It's innuendo, Dominic. It's innuendo.
Classic innuendo that I'll never be able to see. I love it. Anyway, so shall we talk about Alfred? I know you want to.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. The more I know, the better.
Okay, cool. Well, here you go. Listen up. John P. Navin Jr. ironically got his start in the 1981 military drama Taps. He did it Give Me a Break. He was famously the first patron on Cheers. First guy ever to try to buy a beer at Cheers. They made a joke about, fake IDs. That was like the first one. He recurred on Silver Spoons. He was in National Lampoon's Vacation. He did an episode of Double Trouble. He was a regular on Jennifer Slept Here, which is a sitcom about a family that lives with the ghost of a dead actress.
You have been pausing this whole time.
Oh, let me try. I'll just quickly go through John P. Navin's catalog once more. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. So he got to start in the 81 military drama Taps. He did Give Me a Break. He was the first patron on Cheers. You knew about that. He was in National Lampoon's Vacation. He was a regular on Jennifer Slept Here. And Jennifer Slept Here is a sitcom about a family that lives with a ghost of a dead actress, which is it's really great. And then he also did an episode of that blind Jeffrey Tambor show, Mr. Sunshine. And he ended his career in a 1991 movie called Class of 61. I've seen so many of his things, but because I don't find him hot like I do Jimmy Baio, he is not ubiquitous.
I mean, he's not hot.
No, he's not. He will also show up again on the next time they try to make this show happen. And then Chip comes over and asks Buzz to get off his butt and help him clean. Yeah. The deal was he was going to get them women. they do the cleaning, which
Yes.
is real cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Chip.
Yeah.
All right, Chip is played by David Rayner. He got his start playing Scott Joplin in the TV movie Scott Joplin.
Okay.
He was alongside Real Housewives of Beverly Hills alum Kim Richards on the drama James at 16, which was to the 70s what My So-Called Life was to the 90s. A short-lived, very realistic teenage drama. He was on the 78 drama Harrison Company about a single dad with 1 million kids. It lasted 4 episodes. And after a decade of doing about like 1 episode of a sitcom and that's it, finally packed it in, became a director. He directed Trippin'. He directed Whatever It Takes, which I've seen and liked, Spiritual Warriors, which I don't know, and several Martin Lawrence concerts. And that's what he does now. And that's David Rayner. Reining it in.
Cool.
Alfred asks the guys not to tell Natalie Green how young he is.
Yeah.
He thinks he can pass for 16. I like how he called her Natalie Green.
Yes. Because everyone in this audience who's watching this is going, Natalie? Who the fuck is that? Who's this Tootie they keep mentioning? As though those are the 2 people you don't immediately associate with this television show.
You associate all 4 are icons. 5.
Absolutely. I totally agree. But if you said Tootie to someone on the street randomly, you said, who's Tootie? They would say, oh, that little black girl from Facts of Life. Like, they would know immediately. So it's like, you don't, and also, who's Natalie? You wouldn't be like, oh, Natalie Wood? No, it'd be like, oh, the fat girl from Facts of Life.
I don't necessarily know that if you just shouted, who's Natalie, anybody. Tootie, I get. But Natalie, I feel like people would be like, I don't know, buddy. Anyway, so Alfred asks the guys, sorry?
You froze.
Oh, how about now?
Oh, now you're good. Now you're
good.
Okay,
good. So Alfred
Oh my
asks the
God,
guys. Alfred asks the guys not to tell Natalie Green how young he is. We learned that Alfred jumped 2 grades. I forgot about Chip saying that he thinks he can pass for Goldilocks if Alfred could pass for 16 because, he's black.
Yeah, and black people can't have blonde hair.
Yeah, and also black people can't have storylines outside of My Mom's Famous.
Or that I'm black.
Yes, those are the 2 things he can talk about. Anyway, Alfred wants to be more like Chip, which he says is not as smart. He's like, I'm tired of being smart. Chip, I wish I was like you. How's Chip done? Chip seems totally with it.
They all seem okay.
They do all seem okay.
Except for Alfred. Alfred sucks.
Oh, no. Who really sucks is Knight. Corporal Knight.
Oh.
But, let's go. So, Chip thinks that Tootie, he goes, is that a girl or an ice cream flavor? Yuck.
That has never. And here's the thing. It should be Tootsie Roll. It should be candy. That sounds like a candy, not an ice cream.
Oh, I was thinking Tutti Frutti. And I was thinking, Tutti Frutti.
Oh, okay.
Buzz explains that all these girls are named Bitsy or Muffy or Tootie, so it makes sense. She must be a socialite. He's going to be so disappointed by Tootie. She is so not a socialite. And then Buzz suggests that she's got to be a Paul Nelson fan because we learned that Chip's mom. Go.
So, as soon as he says, I bet she's a big fan of Paula Nelson and her 6 platinum records, I was like, Paula Nelson? Who could this be? And that's Willie Nelson's daughter.
Yep.
And then I went down this weird rabbit hole being like, so this kid, are they doing some sort of weird, multiracial, is that going to be the aim here? No, it's just that they made that name up, and then Willie Nelson managed to have a kid who's with the same name.
Yes, that's 100% what happened because she's only been releasing music since '98. But I will say this about Paula Nelson, because I also went down a rabbit hole and I found something that I want to expose to the public.
Yes.
Paula Nelson won the 2016 Female Artist of the Year Award by the Country Music Association of Texas. The Country Music Association of Texas doesn't even have a Wikipedia. It's a fake thing. And that award is a fake award because she hadn't released music in 2 years. 2 years of not doing anything, and now she's the Country Music Award Artist of the Year. Also, the thing that she had done 2 years ago was a covers album, a self-released covers album that she sold on her website back when that wasn't even a thing. So, sorry, you bought your daughter an award, Willie Nelson, and we all know it.
Well, yeah, that's for sure true, especially about her, because she was addicted to cocaine and had to go to rehab. And then basically Willie Nelson got her a career as a DJ in Texas. And that was kind of her, that was her career. And then one time she was touring, and she was on someone's tour bus and they were all doing drugs. And then the bus got pulled over, and then the police, they were like, "Oh, you're Willie Nelson's daughter? We're going to come in there and we're going to find out, we're going to find all your drugs." And so then she just basically became kind of a, career hazard for her dad.
He's doing fine.
Yeah, he's doing great. Although,
oh no, my daughter is accused of doing drugs. I'm Willie Nelson.
But here's the thing, Willie Nelson, stay inside, please. You are a national treasure, and you've been smoking weed your entire life, so your lungs are susceptible, and you're in the, the age group where you might be able to get this disease.
Amen. Listen to Britt, Willie. And thanks for listening to the podcast, Willie. So Chip goes on a monologue about how he gets all the pussy he wants, but all the time, girls are just in their head fucking Paula Nelson. It takes forever. It's not worth transcribing. And Alfred goes, "Lord, why can't I have that problem?" And that also wasn't worth transcribing, but it was short, so I did. This is a bad episode. I hate these people. And then Hank comes in. Oh, Hank. With a lovely wrapped box with a pink bow, and it's filled with jelly beans and boomerang buns, obviously. He explains his cane. He didn't clear all the hurdles today. Buzz's response, "Hank, you're a crip."
Okay. I didn't even catch, the sound was probably very bad in this episode because I had a lot of trouble hearing this episode.
I did subtitles though.
Yeah, but that's how you usually do it. And also, I don't know how to read, so subtitles don't work for me. But I didn't know that this guy's name was Hank, so every single time I had to write down in my notes, because I don't write down, "Oh, the crip walked in." I wrote down the limping guy, who turns out at the end not even injured.
Fuck you, Jerry Mayer. What the fuck is that? If you're really not injured, then you see Joe and you go, "I am your date tonight," and you toss your cane. But exactly. You saw Joe, you still limped, and then when she was like, "You want to dance?" He's like, "Absolutely." Yeah. Fuck you, Hank, and fuck you, Jerry Mayer.
Also, Hank looked too much like Chip.
Chip is the black guy.
Oh, sorry. Buzz.
Oh, I don't see it because Buzz is magical looking and Hank is just whatever. But they are both you can see they're both the cool white guy. I agree with you. I understood.
They have very similar haircuts, kind of similar attitudes. Buzz has a lot more he's like, I got things going on. I gotta make sure that Blair feels good, and I'm gonna screw it tonight, and blah blah blah. I gotta make sure I gotta move Mrs. Garrett's car. He's got irons in the fire. Whereas Hank is Hank is the one who's like, "I like nuzzling those nurses' tits."
That's true. He has that. That's his plot.
And so he's kind of shady but funny. He's the one who always has a funny rejoinder to everyone, right? Especially tonight. And it reminded me of Animal House, which I recently rewatched. He reminded me of the best, the lead character, whose name I can never remember any of their names. But he's got the best friend who's just the kind of cool guy who's a little slimy but funny, but has the long-term girlfriend. Anyway, he's that guy. That's who Hank is.
That's another movie I have not seen.
So this podcast, in the past 3 years, you've admitted to never having seen The Godfather, never having seen Animal House, and never having seen Goodfellas.
Just in this episode, yeah.
Anyway. All of those multiple times.
They don't appeal.
Okay.
So let's talk about that Crip.
Yeah.
He's played by Ben Marley, who got his start on something called Alexander, The Other Side of Dawn, which is an NBC TV movie about a boy who moves out to Hollywood to care for his pregnant girlfriend, played by Eve Plum, but ends up becoming a gay prostitute sleeping with a closeted football player. Yup, I watched it. It's on YouTube.
How is it? Is it worth
great?
What's it
again? Alexander, The Other Side of Dawn. Because you know that, like, Dawn, that teenage TV movie about it was like a book about a prostitute girl named Dawn?
No.
Yeah, well, this is the gay sequel.
Okay.
Anyway, then in 1977 he did something called The Chicken Chronicles, and the IMDb description is amazing for The Chicken Chronicles. You ready?
Lay it on.
Okay. A high school senior tries to score with Margaret. That's the whole IMDb description. Who's Margaret? The senior's name doesn't matter. It's just Margaret. We're gonna fuck her.
That's an amazing. Like, here's the thing. I would love that if that was literally the log line for this.
I think it is.
That it's just like a high school senior tries to fuck Margaret. That's
score with, but yes. Man, I miss the days when you could sell a movie with a premise like that. Yeah. Anyway, he was also, what's his name? So many people. Ben Marley. He was also in Jaws 2, did a bunch of TV movies. He popped up in the theatrical film Rumpelstiltskin from 95. No. He did a Yes Dear, a Suddenly Susan, an indie movie called Territory most recently. He will appear in next season's reboot of this pilot. That's about it for. He's really forgettable, but not as forgettable as some other people that are coming up. Anyway, Hank can't take Joe to the dance because of his sometimes injury, which is ridiculous, but whatever. Buzz is sad because Hank is like the only one of the guys who's not a geek.
Yeah.
Alfred takes umbrage to that, saying he's not a geek, he's just short, and I'm sure you take umbrage to that.
Well, yeah, because I was like, the thing is that we just established that he's the geek.
Yeah, I know.
He's the one who jumped 2 grades because he's so smart. He is literally a geek.
I know. You don't have to tell me.
I looked up, I was like, because there is a lot of like internet like bullshit where it's sort of like, what's the difference between a geek, a nerd, and a dork? And it's like, okay. In common parlance, not that much, especially in 2020, but like geeks in the early part of the century were the carnival barkers who would bite the heads off of chickens and like do crazy shit. But like,
they're the cool people now.
No, but geeks and nerds, it's like you're into something and you're smarter than everyone else, and you're also disliked. That's the level we're at. It's like, this fuckhead, he just established that he's a geek.
Yeah, but you know what? He's also the contradicting guy. We're just learning these characters, so why not?
And also, let me just clarify for 1 second. This is the last time we recorded. It's the 7:00 cheer, so you might start hearing people banging on pots and pans outside of my house.
That's okay. I was very faint last time, so don't worry about it. Anyway, let's see, where were we at? Oh yeah, so Hank basically tells Chip he's not too sorry about the fact that he's missing out on this date with Joe because he's in the beginning affair with a school nurse. These boys should not have a female nurse at this school. That is the most dangerous job for a woman in upstate New York.
Yep, completely.
Alfred asks Hank for advice on how he can get into Natalie Green's Mickey Mouse sweater.
Mm-hmm.
He's told to be himself, and we all know that that's a terrible idea.
But he says, you know about women. Any tips on how I should handle myself tonight? You know, man to man. And it's like, well, clearly not, because you're 11 years old and this guy is fucking the nurse, right? And then it's like basically he says, you know, just be yourself. And he goes, well, that's not what I wanted to hear. So this kid has self-esteem that is below Natalie Green's.
Yep, it definitely is.
At least so Natalie Green got someone to shit on.
That is true. That's nice for her. And she did it in her lovely sheer pantsuit.
No, that was a pantsuit, but I do have a lot to say about that outfit. When we
yes, no, I basically am going to abstain and let you go to town on the fashions once they enter. It will let you do your Joan Rivers best once as they each enter, which is coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
So Buzz is really concerned about this Joe thing for absolutely no reason. She doesn't even want a date, but regardless, he reminisces about when Moose Marinaro tried to kiss her on the dance floor. She dislocated his jaw and became Moose Jaw Marinaro, then married Bobby Muldoon, and now we've got Moose Jaw Muldoon from last episode. Continuity.
There it is. There it is. Thank you, Dominic. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for doing the work every week about these sorts of things that keep me up at night.
Good. I appreciate it. Now we know everything. So we had another cast member who, oh joy, brings news of another cast member's pending arrival. That's when I took a nap. I ate one of these Lucky Charms granola bars, which are so good. That's not granola.
What? That's not granola.
No, it's like a Rice Krispie treat made out of Lucky Charms dipped in marshmallow flavored fudge.
It's a Rice Krispie treat in the shape of a healthy thing.
It's so good. Yeah. Anyway, so I ate one of those and I rolled over and took a nap, and I was like, I can't do two more cast members. But anyway, let's talk about Corporal Knight.
Yeah.
He's played by Peter Fraschetti, who got his start in Grease 2 as Demucci. Do you like that?
No, Grease 2 is a very bad movie. I've never seen that. I've never even wanted to. I've heard it's very bad, but Michelle Pfeiffer in it.
Almost everybody I know of our generation seems to worship it and think it's like this campy, wonderful, ironic, happy thing. I've never seen it because I'm not a huge musical thing, but Grant loves it. And everywhere I've ever gone with Grant, he ends up having conversations with people where they like mind meld about how great it is. And at Ellen, when we worked at Ellen, Ellen's assistant and him did a duet of Cool Rider, which is one of the songs, and like danced through the halls doing the dance. So people really do care about Grease too. Not this guy and not this girl, but other people do. So Peter Fraschetti, Demucci.
I think if you're a true Grease stan, like if you like Grease, you don't like that one because I think it kind of jumped the shark in terms of the shit it did. So I think it might be The Room for musical theater geeks, where it's like, this is so bad, it's awesome. Sort of like Cats.
The thing is, fans who like it don't seem to be musical people. They're like people who like to watch movies ironically, for sure, but they're not like musical people. So who knows? But
they probably like Grease to begin with.
That's possible.
Because Grease is kind of ironic in the sort of like light John Waters way.
I've got some breaking news. I just felt like I was a newscaster.
For Walter Cronkite telling me that JFK had been shot.
Anyway, so Peter Fraschetti he got started on Taxi, Renegades, Hill Street Blues. He's a regular on the 1989 show Dream Street, which was he was nominated for an Emmy, recurring on 30-something. He was the Broadway director in First Wives Club.
Whoa.
That's
not two people in the same thing, but that is two mentions of First Wives Club.
In one podcast. So everybody, if you're doing the First Wives Club Facts of Facts drinking game, now's the time to have your second shot. He was also in the Inside Man and most recently recurred on Devious Maids. He's clearly our villain because he calls Alfred Bird Breath.
Yeah.
And he also says 10 Hut when he's just a stinking corporal and he's not supposed to.
So that's true. But also, I will say this about this guy. He reminded me of
A homosexual man?
Well, the clearly closeted one from Police Academy. The stickler for rules. The guy who's like, Proctor, where is my hat? Where is my juice? Whatever. You know, like he's that guy who is constantly bossing people around and is a stickler for rules, right?
Yes, that was actually a really good impression that I was not expecting to come out of your mouth.
Well, you do know that Police Academy 5 is one of my favorite movies ever made.
Mine too, which is why I think maybe you should try Grease too. I think there's a lineage there.
Fair enough. Anyway, but yeah, no, this guy was just he's that officious, annoying, sort of attractive, tall asshole who, you know, follows all the rules and is a narc.
He's such a narc.
Yeah. And the best thing is that he says to Alfred, miniature little Alfred, he says, you know what? Back off, bird breath, right? And then I was like, because here's the thing. My mom used to use that phrase, bird breath. Like, he was such a bird breath. And I was like, like, my mom was born in the 40s. Like, I never heard that actually being used, like, you know, on the streets, as it were, or whatever. Because it seems, I don't know. Anyway, then I was like, you know, I went down a Google hole and I was like, you know, what's the etymology of the bird breath insult? Right?
I'm so glad you did.
And there's nothing. It's not existent on the internet. And I the only thing that it led me to was how do birds breathe? Which led me to an article from the Carnegie Mellon Science Museum called How Birds Breathe with Their Butts.
Birds breathe with their butts?
Yeah. They have different types of lungs that have these like bellows, which are right by their ass. So, and they also are very efficient with how they take in oxygen so that every single breath they take in goes through their lungs into the sac, but it circulates twice. So they get all the oxygen out of it as it goes through their ass, and then it goes back out their nose.
Well, that explains the insult.
I guess, but that seems...
It's saying your breath smells like shit.
Bird
shit.
Exactly, but that seems like such a long way to go and such a weird science geek insult.
Yeah, I thought it was like, because I ate some chicken nuggets or something, you could smell them on my breath.
Me too! Or birds eat shit? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, are you smelling seed?
Well, here you go, Facts of Lovelies.
Facts of Facts exclusive.
That this actually be an exclusive.
Hank cranks wise that scavenger fish always come before the shark, and then Alfred laughs like it's hilarious.
I know.
And then Corporal Knight says, and I quote this because, whoa, limp, gimp, you're supposed to be cleaning out the latrine.
I know.
Hank salutes and promises to think of Knight with every flush. I can't believe they try this show a second time. These people have no chemistry. The gimp limps away. Knight tells them they're a bunch of 8-balls that better have this place in shape. 8 balls?
I don't know.
And then Alfred says, eat my shorts. And that's on the heels of Facts of Life saying, don't have a cow last week. I was gobsmacked. Honestly, I was like, whoa. Clearly, Facts of Life writers were digging this show.
And is this the first time it's ever seen on TV? Eat my shorts?
This appears to be the first time that phrase was ever on screen. I did so much research, and all my research actually pointed to this, that the first time Eat My Shorts was ever on screen was The Breakfast Club. That's 1985.
Yeah, so they were broadcasting the movie. Oh, you mean screen? Okay.
No, what I'm saying is nobody has ever said Eat My Shorts. The internet believes Eat My Shorts happened 3 years later, but Facts of Life had it first.
Okay. So not to be all galaxy brain right now, but I will have to say this because I made a boo-boo and I watched the first 10 minutes of the next episode.
Uh-huh.
And there is an utterance of, did I do that? And that's just 1982.
All right, well, we're going to have to do some deep research into did I do that?
Oh, so if that's true, then that's 3 weeks in a row that Facts of Life was breaking catchphrases.
Yes, 2 of them were on The Simpsons, which is really remarkable. A third one for Urkel is also very interesting.
That's said if I screamed, "Did I do that?" out of my window, someone would say, "Fuck you, Urkel."
Really? That's what would happen?
That's how tight my neighborhood is.
All right. So I'd like to test that later on. Offline, of course. But yeah, so the phrase was used by a protester in 1972. And that line was reprinted in the Daily Utah Chronicle. And that was the first time Eat My Shorts was ever in any kind of media. But in terms of it being used on screen, I believe it's at the first. And yes, while Alfred is saying Eat My Shorts, the final cast member finally arrives behind him, and I'm so happy. He looks no happy. He's not happy at all because they Eat My Shorts, but I'm happy. So happy. Major Dorsey is played by David Aykroyd. No relation from what I understand. He started in the early 70s, didn't really get going until 75 when he booked a Kojak recurring stint on Another World. He's got over 80 credits on IMDb, and his bio reads like a novel. It's clearly written by him, and it's very sad. It talks a lot about how he couldn't make a name for himself in the film world, how much he loves his wife.
That's what you IMDb. I love my wife and children.
Hey, I mean, the only person who's probably reading that bio is his wife, so he might as well put it in there.
Wife, probably not. Just him.
And me. He's the very definition of forgettable. He's played 3 characters in 3 episodes of Murder, She Wrote. I have no recollection of any of them. He was last seen...
episode of that show multiple times.
I go to bed to it almost every single day.
So you've definitely seen that guy at least, I mean, conservatively, 400 times.
I would say 40 is a probably more accurate, but yes. He was last seen in the action-adventure movie from 2009 called The Best Bar in America, and we're done with the cast. Don't ask me about the cast.
I won't. But, so, here's the thing. Alfred insults Knight, right? And
well,
says,
Knight, 10 Huts near Dorsey, and yes.
Says, "Eat my shorts." And then the general comes in and says, "Isn't that carrying roughage a bit far?" That's, honestly, that's the best joke they make in this episode.
I feel like there's something better.
No.
Well, we'll see. I definitely prefer Top Debs, no matter what. Even though that wasn't a joke with a punchline where people laughed, I still found that funny. Yeah. Anyway. Actually, I like this next joke. That's so funny. I wrote that this was probably the best joke in the episode, which was that Dorsey inspects the room. He'd like the bed to be tighter, and then Knight brags that you could bounce a quarter off of his bed, and then Alfred goes, "You got the advantage of rubber sheets."
So I took all of this as homoeroticism because, he kept saying, you can bounce a quarter off of my ass because it's nice and tight, basically. Like, my bed is so tight. You could bounce a quarter off that shit. Whereas, Buzz is like, it's nice, but like, it's sloppy. It doesn't have that hospital corners. You want me to go in another hour on hospital corners tonight?
I do not. Please don't.
Anyway. It's like, then there's this whole, like, because Alfred's trying to insult him and saying that he's a pissy little bedwetter.
Which he is.
Maybe he's just careful.
Perhaps. Maybe he just has like an enormous amount of ejaculate come out every time he rubs one out.
So here's why I say that this is homoeroticism, is that the next thing, Dorsey's like, yeah, let me see your rifle. And then Buzz says, my rifle? Nobody says you were inspecting rifles. And it's like, I need you to take your penis out. I need to see it. And then, and then Dorsey says, what's that odor? Your balls smell. And he's like, oh, it's probably gun oil.
Which is a gay lube.
Uh-huh.
I will say this. Back in my younger days, there was a gay bar in New York that I used to frequent. It's closed now, but the only way you could get in was showing the bouncer your dick. I love that place. Anyway, so Buzz, they find a joint in his rifle, and Buzz calls it a very short ramrod.
Exactly, a very short ramrod.
I thought you were going to get there. That's why I was waiting for you.
This is your penis? Yeah, a very short ramrod. Do you know what a ramrod is?
To get the door open.
No. It's to get the gunpowder in your gun.
Oh, that makes more sense. Okay. What do they call those things that get the door open with the police?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I'd call it a ramrod too. Big one. Real big. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so he gets only 20 hours of penalty duty for the joint, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, not bad.
Dorsey admonishes Buzz for not following the rules, and then just drops the joint on Knight's clipboard.
Yeah.
Dorsey leaves, and Knight cackles, and I just don't care about any of this.
No, I know. And then Buzz comes up to him and is like, you fucking ratted on me. And he's like, ratted? I just love when you speak gutter.
He's perfect for Blair.
It was the most campy bullshit. It was like, mustache twirling, and oh, I love it when you speak like this, my little chickadee.
It's like Frasier, it's like Frasier, the Saturday morning cartoon where the S is spun around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he do some looking up on Buzz's date, and now he's satisfied that she's an actual socialite? How did he do that in 1982?
Maybe like a social registry.
Okay.
I mean, that's like, I feel like that was mentioned at least in the first and the second episodes, because Blair probably brought it up about being like, oh yes, of course, blah, blah, blahs in, the social registry where I find my grandfather's, blah, nonsense.
Yeah, no, I learned about it from you. I remember. Knight asks Buzz if he wouldn't mind cutting in a few times. Turns out his date Missy sprained her ankle skiing in Vail. So everybody sprained their ankles so they can't go to this dance. They couldn't come up with two ways to not go to the dance. Everybody has to hurt their ankle. That's how you get out of it. If your ankles are fine, you're dancing.
Yeah.
Nobody can have a cold, nothing. Anyway, Buzz turns the conversation in his favor.
Yeah.
He says this disgusting conversation between them is nice. How they were going to swap dates in the middle of the dance. They're talking decent to one another.
Yeah.
He says that Joe is a socialite. She needs a date. It's a full-on reverse Joe.
Yeah. It's Joanna Marie. You've heard of Polnicek vodka. And all the other two little kids are like, yeah. You know about Polnicek vodka? And he's like, yes, of course. It's my favorite vodka.
He does seem really off-put when he hears her name is Polnicek. He's like, a Polak?
Yeah.
And then they do the vodka thing, and he's like, oh, okay.
Because that's the thing, is that the only thing that Polish people are good at is drinking and making vodka.
Correct.
That's this show. That's this show's joke.
Again, I think you might be reading a little much into it, but sure, I'll go with it. I don't think they were trying to be like, Polish people are useless, subtext, but I do think he thought it.
Yeah.
Alfred says she's stacked.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, I'm a go for it kind of guy. And he contorts his face into like 50 weird shapes.
Yeah. No, I literally wrote down where he's like, no, she's stacked. And then I just literally wrote down, oh, money and tits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all he wants, man. Anyway,
This guy doesn't want tits at all. This guy fucking hates tits.
He might just be tit ambivalent. He doesn't have to hate them. They're definitely not number one.
Way. Yeah.
Anyway, so Buzz gives Knight a tip, try and rape her. She loves that, on the dance floor if possible.
Yeah.
So this is his MO. He doesn't care about Joe or Joe's Knight at all, though she's doing him a favor, providing him with several women. This is all about revenge on Knight. What a fuck. Nobody's good on this show.
No, of course not. But it's that basically he knows what's going to happen, that if Joe gets her neck kissed, which is what he says, oh, she loves getting kissed on the neck when dancing, that this guy that he wants to actually get revenge on is going to get hit a punch in the face. And that's ultimately what he wants to do because of the homoerotic subtext, which is he wants to punch him in the face as much as he wants to suck on his dick, but he has to have Joe be the interlocutor for these actions.
I'm not co-signing any of that, but okay.
Okay.
So, we are off. It's time for the dance. It's quite a formal affair.
New set. Who were all those fucking extras wandering around?
I don't know. It still seems like an empty dance, but yes, there are a lot of extras there.
Super empty, but I also enjoyed the fact that there was like, two white nerds sitting at a table being like, do you need to buy your tickets? Just in the corner. There was like a giant table of like 4 cookies and 2 giant punch bowls. And like
so many cookies, so much punch.
Like 1 flower. And then as we like pull in on the scene, like it's like the 2 black kids walk through who are not Tootie and Chip, but just to show we're diverse. And then Mrs. Garrett comes in randomly, and
she's already in. How did she get in there?
Not only that, I was like, we're not showing her face, so is that actually Mrs. Garrett?
It was.
No, of course it was, because she's crucial to the plot. But she's like, okay, girls, it's ready, and starts screaming. And then Joe basically looks as though someone pushed her out of a car and like enters like backwards, like, oh shit, my wig is on wrong, wearing this giant pink dress that she looks beautiful in. She looks great. Her hair's never looked better, right? And then she has to go underneath a fucking saber arch.
Okay, so I just a couple things. 1, so many cookies, so much punch. 2, how did Mrs. Garrett get in there? Why did she have to announce to them that they were ready for her entrance? I thought that was all very weird. Why couldn't she enter too?
Because they needed to have established that Mrs. Garrett was there.
They could have done that with her entrance.
Yeah, but then it would have been too many entrances.
They should have. There was already too many entrances. They should have all entered at once.
No. Comedy rule of 3. If it was Mrs. Garrett coming in, it would have stepped on Joe, and then that would have stepped on Natalie and Tootie, who came in together, and then that would have stepped on Blair.
Well, I didn't love Joe's dress, but I'm glad that you did. I thought she looked nice, but I thought that was not the dress I would have picked for her.
No, no shit. She looked great comparatively to everyone else. I mean, maybe it's not
no. Blair looked great.
Blair looked fine, but it looked as though she was going to someone's funeral.
Yes, but she looked normal. Let's talk about Natalie and Tootie and their outfits. And they don't even get their own entrance, which was so sad. They have to enter together for some reason.
Because it's of 3.
Yes. Talk about their outfits, because I couldn't believe them.
Okay, so Joe comes in underneath a saber arch, which is a very weird, like everyone can recognize that, but that's not something that's used at one of these stupid little dumb dances at some stupid like military academy. People only use that during weddings if someone is in the military. It was started in the Royal Navy. Like, it's a very like serious thing. You don't just throw that out for some stupid dance with like fucking nonsense like high C punch and cookies. No.
Royals watching.
That's right. Anyway, so Joe comes in. Her hair looks great. The dress is big and pink and floofy. She looks like a rosebud or something that someone says to her later. She looks great. It's a very un-Joe dress, but like, you know, they're trying to do this thing where it's like Joe's attitude is like, what's this? Flowers? I don't like flowers. It comes in a corsage. Blah. But she's dressed like a fucking flower. So it's like, oh, see, you can be a lady too. Anyway, so then she says,
well, wait, what about Natalie's outfit? Talk about Natalie and Tootie's dresses.
I'm not there yet. So she comes in. So Joe comes in. Her hair looks great. She goes, hey, watch it with the meat cleavers. I'm walking in. She comes in, and then she sort of hustles everyone else in. She's like, come on. And then Natalie and Tootie are like, give us a minute. Jesus Christ. Like, you know, I only get to go to my first, you know, military gangbang once in my life. Like, let me savor this. So they come in, and Natalie is dressed in the only way I can describe it as mother of the bride outfit that she bought at a discount from Filene's Basement. She is wearing one of those formless polyester lavender dresses that just goes from the top. It ignores the breasts. It's just basically a bag. But then, because she needs to have something to cover up her embarrassing arms, she has one of those little, like, capelet jackets that has one button at her throat.
I thought that was like a choker that matched.
Nope. It was a extremely upsetting costume choice for a 15-year-old girl where they made her look like a 70-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And then Tootie is wearing basically a baby blue nightgown that Faye Dunaway wore in Mommy Dearest when she dressed her daughter up in the same outfit for her birthday party. It's floofy, it's baby blue, it has a lot of ties, it has a lot of lace.
Very top heavy.
Very top heavy, but like weird. Like the whole, like both of them together is odd.
It's so odd.
And then like, they're like, thank God we're here. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Look at all this punch and shitty off-brand cookies. This is so glamorous. They leave. And then Blair trounces in wearing a beautiful black velvet dress, being like, oh, thanks.
She loved all those swords, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, of course she loved all those swords.
And then Hank introduces himself to Joe. He was supposed to be her date, but he can't because of the foot. Although he's all dressed up and there and talking to her, so what the fuck?
Yeah, and then she's like, and he's like, sorry, I can't be your date. And she's like, oh, so did you shoot yourself in the foot?
It's as funny as it is logical.
Yep.
Oh, man. The audience laughs because I don't even think they're there. I think that the audience is a button for this because they're laughing at everything and nothing is good.
Yeah.
And then Corporal Knight makes a big entrance.
Yes.
Weird introduction of himself to the gang.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's basically to set up the fact that he's, you know, formal, he follows the rules, but he's also smarmy.
Tootie looks weirded out by him.
Both of them do. Natalie and Tootie are both like...
And he immediately goes to Joe for reasons I do not know, knowing that she is the Joanna Marie.
Yeah.
And she's like, you got a package for me?
Yeah, I got a package right here. It's in my pants. Yeah. Anyways, he gives it over to her, and he's like, no, this is your corsage. I'm your date. His accent goes all over the map in this. He's like, sometimes he's like this, and then sometimes he's like this. He's like, actually, that's not how. I will come and find you after I play taps for the lower class.
He's going to actually blow Taps, who's in the lower class, by the way, just so you know. So Joe turns her back, and he clicks his shoes, which startles her.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning of a running joke, or a Nakamura, because it's not a funny running joke, and that's the term we use here on the Facts of Facts. Mrs. Garrett is taken on a personal tour of the academy by Major Dorsey. He clicks his shoes again, and Mrs. Garrett orgasms a bit.
Well, that's the thing, is that when you were doing, like, like also known as for this episode, my suggestion is, also known as Mrs. Garrett gets like visually and audibly aroused by teenagers.
That's a little long.
Well, we haven't even gotten to the last scene where she's like, oh, yeah.
Fair enough. So Joe remarks that if he keeps up that heel clicking, her fillings are going to fall out.
Yeah.
The punch bowl's so big, and there's so many cups of punch already. Where did all that punch come from? It couldn't even fit in the bowl to begin with.
No.
And no one's taking cookies. I put a bet in my notes that Natalie was going to be the first one to eat a cookie, but she's not. It's night.
Yeah. In comes Buzz, and he's like, "You look like," and she's like, "You look like Napoleon," and he goes, "You look like a rose bloom."
No, the Rose Parade. He says, "You look like the Rose Parade."
Sorry, the sound in this episode was so bad. I was like, eh?
No. These two are made for each other. I'd rather watch like a romance between them than any more of this episode.
Absolutely. Totally.
They got chemistry, even though they were like, nope. The whole plot is that they don't.
Well, but I actually also think that Buzz has chemistry with Blair.
Buzz has chemistry with everybody. He's Jimmy Bayo.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so this episode is falling into the classic trap where everybody needs to get introduced to everybody over and over again. Joe does the honors this time and lands at Buzz and Blair, and he suavely says, "Someone heard my prayers last night." And she's like, "Yeah, I'll fuck you."
Mm-hmm.
She takes the corsage, not like Joe, where she's like, "What?" She's just like, "Give it to me."
Yeah.
And then Alfred and Chip arrive with boxes. This is my favorite. They arrive with boxes that match their dates. So Tootie's box is little and brown, and Natalie's box is giant and pink.
Okay, so then there's a little business between Alfred and Natalie, right? Where she's like, "What's this?" And then, opens up her corsage box.
Right? Well, no, first he goes, "Not what you expected, huh?" And then she goes, "Who expects?" Because it's Natalie, and she's got no self-esteem.
Yeah, exactly. And then she fucking opens up her box. And what's in there?
Gladiolas.
Yeah, gladiolas. No.
They're stunning. We see them on her. They look great.
No. Gladiolas are this big. They are 4 feet long.
I know. I've watched Morrissey sing live.
Okay, so that's a very specific thing, which I'm sure that this is referencing. But no, when you buy gladiolas in the grocery store, I have gone to a gladiolas field and bought them, like, from a farmer. They are 4 to 5 feet long. They are huge flowers. They are known as the sword lily. They are a very big flower. So they cannot be in this tiny little box.
They were folded. They've been trimmed.
But it's just such a missed opportunity for literally any other joke.
Sure.
And gladiolas are beautiful. I get them all the time when I get to go to the fucking grocery store and I don't have to be stuck inside my house. I love them. They're really beautiful. So, like, for Natalie to be, like, disappointed by these very pretty flowers, no.
They're just not corsage material. I think it was just to say that Alfred is unconventional.
Well, yeah, but then say fucking like sunflowers, or it's a whole thing of wheat. Like it's corn. Like knock me over the head with how stupid Alfred is, even though he's the genius.
So you want him to have given her a cornsage?
Yes.
Okay. So then Tutti Frutti and mint chocolate chip. That's right. I could do it with Chip's name too, asshole. They walk up stage to have their conversation because Azad Khalada, not the best director. And he lies to her and says the Tutti's a nice name. And she says most people think of it as an ice cream flavor. And that's never something that she said before. But we're off. That's all the relationship needs. We're good. They're both black. They can talk. That's all we need. Plenty in common.
But she's been a very proud Tootie bearer for the past 3 years. There's never been a moment of her being like, I'm nervous about my name.
Well,
Never.
That moment came today, baby. We did learn that Joe didn't bother filling in Buzz with any backstory because this is a Jerry Mayer episode, so everybody has to act like buffoons. So Joe's very quickly and suspiciously has to fill him in on the whole Gloria Vanderbilt lie.
Yeah.
Blair's saying she's nothing compared to Gloria Vanderbilt Jr., who, by the way, doesn't exist, as we've discussed. Blair is not seeing through the charade yet. She is into it.
Well, yeah.
We get thirsty Blair, which really never works. It's never as fun as regular Blair.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You're under Buzz's spell.
I am.
So you would go you would go there and go on a blind date with him.
Absolutely.
And
I would let him pin his corsage all over my face.
Exactly. You would go to the ladies' room and pin that corsage right on your hip.
Cool. I like it. So the girls pass by. Knight clicks his heels passive-aggressively. Joe looks like she's going to punch him. Got to set up that running joke that never pays off. He then storms over to Buzz, who's still trying to maintain the illusion that Joe is a pretty socialite. Turns out Knight has asked Mrs. Garrett, who he fucking calls the chaperone. Fuck you. I asked the chaperone. And all the questions, and the whole charade's falling apart. Fucking Mrs. Garrett. Why don't they prepare her with a lie? Jesus.
Well, because none of them knew that this was going to be a lie.
Well, Joe did.
Well, yeah, but Joe... Okay, but none of the other girls did.
True. Anyway, even though the plot should be over, Buzz decides to extend it by saying that their chemistry is so great, it's better than DuPont, which is the world's biggest chemical company, recently merged with Dow. No one cares. Knight calls him a sleazo and says 5 minutes with him, and she'll throw him back into the slime pit. These guys cannot insult each other. Like, I miss those girls being like, hey, you're going to die alone and you're fat and ugly. Like, these are terrible insults.
Yeah, and then it's like, you know what? Fuck you. You want to wager? You want to fucking wager? I bet I'm going to have my hand upper cunt in the fucking parking lot by 10 o'clock tonight. So there. And then...
Alfred's like, no, not the parking lot. The parking lot's off limits. We couldn't possibly.
This is nightmarish. You can't go to the lot.
It means automatic expulsion, apparently.
Yeah. Expulsion.
Yeah. Sorry. I was a good kid. I never got expelled. Buzz and Knight make a date to meet in the parking lot where Buzz will be kissing Blair at 10 o'clock with little finger stuff. This is terrible. This is bad. This is not good.
Because here's the thing is that these two guys who clearly have, no chemistry with one another, but definitely want to suck one another's dicks, are trying to use a woman to prove the point to one another. That, like, I am a real man. Blair will. I will put my dirty, disgusting gutter fingers inside of pristine Blair Warner's pussy, and you can count me on that one.
My gun's not going to smell like gun oil anymore. Anyway, so Knight will be there right after he's done blowing Taps, whoever Taps is.
Yeah.
He's the first one to eat his cookie very dramatically, and Chip is really excited because Knight is going to be reduced to turkey feathers. I Googled that, and there was no expression online, nothing.
No, I've never heard that either. And then the little kids come up there and say, Chip and Alfred are like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. What's the plan? And then Buzz has to do more exposition and be like, it's just me running my mouth off at another time. I don't have a plan. And then it's like 4 seconds of silence before the audience is like, oh.
Yep.
Was this time that we were supposed to do this? Fuck. No direction.
Also, that's 16 minutes into the episode we get an act break. That was an exhausting act one.
That's why this took me forever. This took me like 8 hours to do. Not aside from the fact that I watched part of the next.
Also, like, I mean, okay. Can we just talk for 1 second a little bit more about reduced to turkey feathers? Because I feel like they are taking every expression that they've heard in every newspaper from Utah or whatever the fuck what protester held up a sign. They're going to use every made up expression. You bunch of 8 balls, I'm going to reduce you to turkey feathers. Bird breath. What the fuck? They are going nuts this episode. They're just working overtime to fill as many catchphrases in the first 16 minutes as possible.
Well, yeah, no, but remember we were watching, I can't remember, maybe it was 2 episodes ago, where there were a lot of these weird old-timey fashion, like phrases, where it was like, turn blue. Second, turn blue. And it was like, what is happening? Who are these people? So maybe this Jerry Mayer, like, was just like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read a lot of local periodicals and sprinkle in some of their catchphrases and see if any of those catch hold.
100%. So now we're back from the commercial break. It's almost 10, a creep o'clock, as they call it at Stone Military Academy. They still haven't formed a plan yet because there was a commercial break and Jerry Mayer, so that's going to have to happen off camera. Yeah. They're going to split up the girls so that Buzz can get Blair alone. I'm vaguely nauseous typing that.
Yes, I totally agree. But, you know, so now, so Buzz is like, he's scrambling for a plan, and, you know, it's like, what?
Well, there was first that Alfred talks about how great he and Natalie are getting along, and then he goes, but she's so thirsty.
And I was like, you know what? Here's the thing. In 2020, that bitch is fucking thirsty.
Yeah, I was so pleased that he said it.
Yeah. No, but
oh man.
No, it's just the old 1982 version, which is that she is not that thirsty. She just keeps sending him away because she's like, I need more punch.
Yeah.
And I can't talk to you because all you bring up are Venezuelan amphibians that shed their skin and then eat their young. And I can't listen to you anymore.
Understood. Buzz tells Chip to talk about his mom to keep Tootie entertained, and he whines, I don't want to talk about my mom. I have my own life.
I'm my own person. I'm my own person. And, like, here's the thing, is that, like, honest to God,
he's not.
This fuckhead, if he's, like, you know, Diana Ross's son, lead with that.
He's not his own person. His identity is built on being not wanting to be related to his mom or associated with his mom. Mrs. Garrett comes in lamenting about all the...
No, wait. So he puts up this huge protest. Chip is like, listen, I'm not going to talk about my mom to impress my date. I am my own person. And then Buzz is like, fine, you know what? See what I care. Then just sing her, I Gotta Be Me. The chorus of I Gotta Be Me, which is a very famous Sammy Davis Jr. song. And it's like, of course this fucking writer chose another black singer to be like, yeah, that's the only thing that he can probably know.
I didn't even pick up on that. That's brilliant.
And associate with this person.
Nice. I didn't even know the song offhand, so that's awesome.
No shit, you haven't seen Goodfellas, you haven't seen The Godfather, and you haven't seen Animal House. So I'm sure you have. There's a cultural vacuum of shit that you just don't care about. And I
just don't.
And I'm here to fill that vacuum.
I appreciate that about you. So Mrs. Garrett comes in lamenting about all the hardships with all the girls. If it's not a gripe session, it's a ripped pair of pantyhose. And he's like, big same, Red. Especially that night kid. Can't keep him out of pantyhose.
No, it's the best thing. So, and I don't get a lot of Mrs. Garrett to do in this episode. So I'm going to do it. So she comes in. So clearly she, the General Dorsey, right? General Dorsey, right?
Yeah.
He's been taking her on the tour of the campus, right? And they are flirting their fucking faces off. Yeah.
Yes, they are, for sure.
So they enter after these 3 teenage boys are like, listen, just keep them busy because I need to go for Blair. So, just keep them busy. And Mrs. Garrett enters with the general. It's like, oh, well, dealing with young girls does keep one on one's toes. If it's not a romance crisis or a gripeception, it's a pair of ripped pantyhose. I like lost my mind. I was like, so is that rapey? Or like literally the lowest stakes problem ever? Because I've never seen these bitches wear pantyhose ever. They're only in knee-high socks. They are never wearing pantyhose. So it's like romance crisis, gripe session, and also my pantyhose were ripped open by a man from Bates. And then this guy, of course, makes some horrible gay joke where he's like, Mrs. Garrett, and you know, the guy's like, Mrs. Garrett, it's the same with the boys. And then she's like, what? And he goes, oh, of course not with the pantyhose. And then Miss, like, I gotta go check on the girls. Gotta go.
Well, no, then she laughs like a maniac. She's like,
yeah. She laughs like Alfred and like Natalie do when they laugh at their own jokes.
Yes.
And then she's like, I have to go check on the girls. And then General George.
A very loaded thanks for the tour.
Yeah, thanks for the tour. And then it's like, it's, as I said, like one other time, it's like Mrs. Garrett's dentures start falling out mid-sentence and everything sort of starts getting like this when she speaks. It's like, you know, the Pepsodent and forget it type of thing. Just, she forgot about it and the Pepsodent wore off. And she's like, you know, he
says, save a dance for me.
Goes, save a dance for me. And she looks back all sultry like, and she goes, all right, I will. It was like, all right, I will.
I wrote that she grunts something that implies, you already got me in my panties. Of course, I will go out dance with you.
You already ripped my pantyhose, is what she actually said.
And then,
I will. It was so like, and then it gets worse later.
Knight appears out of nowhere. He has news of another infraction. Dorsey couldn't care less, but he is like, you seem to have a franchise on those. Solid line, not funny, but well written, I guess.
Yeah, where he's basically, you know, he's the principal who's sort of like, stop complaining to me about your, you know, English teacher not giving you enough homework. Like, get out of my face, you fucking little asshole.
Yes, Knight doesn't have all the details, but insists that Dorsey meet him at 10 sharp at the Bugler's Megaphone, which sounds like a gay dance club.
It does. Bugler's Megaphone.
I like it. Also, every time Knight leaves, he does another click, and everybody always pretends to be shocked by it. This time, he goes behind Dorsey and does the click, and Dorsey does like one of these moves where it really looked like Knight goosed him from behind, just grabbed a handful of tush, because Dorsey's like... So I liked that. It's at 17:20 if you guys want to find that moment, because it really tickled me. Buzz tells Blair she was the most luscious thing at the dance tonight, which is gross. And second of all, there's hardly nobody at this dance, so props.
But, excuse me, Dominik, am I the most luscious person at this dance?
You sure are. Blair agrees as well, calling him observant, and he goes in for the kill.
I know. Thank you for seeing how luscious I am. And here's the thing. You know, if Tootie's in there wearing like a little lacy like nightgown and Joe is wearing that big, you know, rose parade dress, and then Blair shows up wearing dark, heavy black velvet.
That was weird.
No wonder she's luscious. She is sweating out of her ass. It is hot under that.
Just like the way she's sweating the way birds breathe.
Yeah.
He tells her he has to move Mrs. Garrett's car to a part of another part of the parking lot, and he asks if she'll join him, and she sighs, knowing like a sexual assault is on the horizon. She's like, but America's at home watching. I got to be a good example, so I will go with the man who has asked me to go to somewhere with dubious motives. But there's like an authentic twinge of regret. Like Lisa Welch's like, this is the wrong message to send.
Well, I actually have to say that I think that it was a cursory part of her was like, I don't know, I know that move. my friend. That's what she was telegraphing. But she was also like, I like you. And then he doubles down beyond his line, which is you're luscious. And he's like, actually, honestly, Blair, you're really special. And she's like,
I'll give you a hand job.
Thank you. And so I think that she was kind of like visually calling him on doing a line, being like, you're luscious. And I want to put my dirty fingers inside of you. And then he kind of is like, he's honest for a second, which is what she calls him on later when they're in Mrs. Garrett's Beetle. Not in my Beetle. When then he's basically is honest and he's like, you're actually really special. And she's like, okay, so now that you're being honest with me, I will give you the hand job that you want. So,
100%. Yes, no, I agree. I think she was dubious, but I wish that he had said the special thing before, so it that made her turn.
But we needed the two things together because she's calling his bullshit, and then he's finally being honest, and he's like, actually, I really like you. I think you're amazing. And she's like, thank you for being honest. Now we can proceed with the hand job.
But they were already walking towards the car. That's the thing that bothers me. If he had just said it before she said okay, I'd be 100% on board. But instead she's like, ugh, okay. And then he's like, by the way, you're really special. And she's like, I feel good about this now.
I literally done like she says, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Nat and Alfred walk in. Alfred's in the middle of his tale about his exclusive Venezuelan lizard. I tried to figure out which lizard it was, but there are over 360.
I couldn't figure it out either.
Yeah, there's too many species of lizards that are indigenous to Venezuela that eat their own and shed their skin. There was just not enough context clues.
Yeah.
But Nat is wearing the gladiolas, and they do improve the outfit. Headline news.
Yeah, and she's wearing it in her hair too.
Yeah, she took him and made him work. And he asks if he can see her again, and she's like, "What can I say?" And she's gonna like him a lot more next time they see each other.
Does he grow 3 feet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But you're really height shaming me throughout this episode. I'll just let you know.
Him or you?
Me.
Oh God, no, not at all.
I'm not that tall. Every time you say his height is the reason why they can't be together, I'm like, oh no, that's the reason I can't be with people.
No, it's because here's the thing: is that in any scene, the blocking, he looks like a tiny little person, and everyone else doesn't matter who it is. Mrs. Garrett is taller than he is. You're not that short, Dominic.
I know. So then Fruity Tooty Chocolate Chip enter. That is their new ice cream flavor couple name.
I wouldn't like to eat that ice cream. It sounds gross.
I don't mind fruit and chocolate chips.
I don't like that.
I like a chocolate dipped strawberry. I like things like that.
No. That's
all
not
right.
That's not this household. My husband he likes ice cream, he likes chocolate, he likes fruit-based desserts, but never the twain shall meet. He's not a Cherry Garcia type guy. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Respect. Anyway, they're wondering where Blair and Buzz went, and Chip's like, oh, they're around. So shady. It's so troubling, especially when Alfred and Chip do their not-so-secret signal, like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're covering for a sexual assault in the next room.
He's like, we're so good at lying. We're so good at lying. And it's like, we can see.
I know. And then Chip goes, oh, here are my records.
Which are literally on a bench, just a stack of 6 records.
I got 4.
Oh, which happened to be his mom's records.
And they also happen to not be, because they didn't even bother making fake records. Tootie flips through them. You can see.
Go back. Say that again.
Oh, I said they didn't even bother to make fake records that say Paul and Nelson. If you look at the records, when Tootie flips through them, there's The Many Moods Of and Sizzling Hot. One is a new wave band. One is a classical. One says Wagner, clear as day on it. And it's upside down. Jeez. Anyway, Tootie flat out shits on Paul and Nelson.
I know.
She's elevator music with words. She's boring. You can't dance to her. Her voice gives people Legionnaire's disease. It's a whole thing.
And then Chip is like, yeah, that's also my mom. Thanks for talking about my mom like that. And
And
then
then Jimmy's like, oh, you're rich? Let's hang out. Tell me more about yourself.
he's like, oh shit. She's like, so maybe you should tell me a little bit more about your life and your family. And then leaves.
Yes, because blocking makes no sense.
And then in comes Hank, limping.
Yes.
And then
talking to a random cadet.
Random guy. He goes, there's a lot more to Nurse Barton than just her uniform.
With one finger in my butthole, she can make me orgasm in 30 seconds.
So it's presumably her body?
I assume, yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing, like he to me seemed like she seemed like MASH came out like 4 years before this. She seems sort of like a Hot Lips type character to me,
without seeing her, I guess.
Yeah, without seeing her, where she's like this super hot one who definitely like has huge tits and big red lips and like, everyone's horny for her and whatever. Sorry. So it's just, he seems like the sort of guy who's like, yeah, he's the one that fucks older women, the 16-year-old who can get into 30-year-old women's pants. Anyway, so then Jo, she comes in from the other room demanding a shot of Punch straight up. And Knight is just coming in behind her. Clearly she punched him in the face because he kissed her neck. Then they have some back and forth about like, how he's a vampire and a sleaze and,
He promises her neck is a dead issue, which is a gross way of putting it. But Joe's like, I'm not into maniacs, which is a good point. She clicks her heels this time and storms off.
And she says to Hank, she goes, does that cane prevent you from dancing? And he goes, what cane? And then throws the cane out of his hands and gives it to Knight? Yeah, he gives it to Knight.
Yeah, Knight just catches it. Although if I were Knight, I'd be like, I'm not catching that.
Yeah, fuck you.
But then he looks at his watch and he's like, I wasn't going to fuck her anyway. I'm gay. I've got bigger fish to fry. I'm going to go watch Buzz make out with a girl and jerk off in the bushes.
Yeah. And think of myself as Blair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so we're out in the scene of the crime. Mrs. Garrett's car, the forbidden parking lot.
Oh, my God. I didn't know that Mrs. Garrett drove a VW Bug.
Now you know.
Was that set up? Did I know that before? Did I just forget that?
I don't think we knew it.
Yeah.
We'll see her car later. It'll be different.
But I do like the fact that it's like she has the world's tiniest car.
And she got all them bitches in there?
Put all them bitches in there.
So Buzz is talking about Mrs. Garrett's muffler, and she's like, wait, aren't you here to rape me?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, sorry. Compared to you, Gloria Vanderbilt's daughter is Bow Wow City.
Yeah. And she's like, whoa. Thank you for reminding me. I just remembered the fact that Gloria Vanderbilt only has sons. So
what a weird thing to just randomly remember.
But cut the bull.
Yes, she calls him a total fraud and a jerk. He agrees about the jerk part. She wants to know why he put on the phony act, and she says she would have never dated him. He's a nobody.
Yeah.
Every bit of dialogue is confusing.
It's weird. And she goes, and he's like, yeah, I know. I'm a total jerk. I'm a piece of shit. And she's like, but you know what? Under all that bull, they have been leaning on the word bull for the second half of this season. It's just
they just got the green light.
Yeah. Under all that bull, you're charming, intelligent, rugged. You're kind of like a young Bogart.
That was a surprise for her to say. That was like them trying to sell the audience and the network executives on Jimmy Baio as the star of this show.
But like, we've referenced Burt Reynolds on this show before. Like, literally come up with something slightly more current.
Blair's all about the classics, and she loves Bogey, and he goes Bogey. I Googled when they started calling him Bogey, and it was Spencer Tracy in 1930.
There you go. And then we're out of that.
No, he goes in for a kiss. His agenda is still on his mind. This guy's a real piece of work. And at that moment, the fucking bugle plays.
Yeah.
And I don't know why this would stop. This wouldn't stop me or anyone I know kissing a girl. But he hears that bugle and he's like, no, I'm busted.
Yeah.
Like, the Buzz I know would like go out with a bang and be like, I got to kiss you right now. There's a bugle playing and it means bad news.
No, here's the thing. It's because Blair is helping him grow as a human because she has pointed out these things that he doesn't think that he has, which is charm, intelligence, and I guess the fact that he's rugged or whatever. But she's telling him, drop this charade, stop this bullshit. And, then if you show a little bit of, your actual self, you might get what you really want. So maybe don't finger me under, against my will. And we can be honest because he doesn't want to ruin her reputation.
Sure.
That's me being extremely charitable.
Yes.
To this show.
Well,
anyway.
We cut to outside the car.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Garrett, Knight, and what's-his-fuck are watching Mrs. Garrett and her empty Beetle. They weirdly rise from the bushes together for some reason.
And Mrs. Garrett's like, not one of my girls.
Yeah, your girls can't be victims of sexual assault? Please, Mrs. Garrett. Happens all the time.
Right?
Hey, what's-his-fuck says they're not in the car, and Pervy McGee Knight is like, they're just not in the line of sight. If you want to watch people fuck in a car, you got to get real close.
Yeah, no, because the seats, lay down. And the thing, then they close it on Mrs. Garrett going, in my little Beetle.
And then she's like, nah.
Yeah.
But they've got the cover, and it's the muffler. They pretend like he was fixing the car because suddenly people are able to get their stories straight off camera for once. That's the moral of this episode.
I wrote down, blah, 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 muffler, fuck up, cover up.
Yes, everyone demands explanations. None of this really makes sense to me. Blair was told not to leave the schoolhouse, and Buzz is like, it's my fault. I told her it would be okay, but then I saw how the muffler was mounted, and I had to fix your car. What? How does that get Blair out of trouble for leaving the school grounds?
Because he wanted to get into Blair's muffler, and then realized that he had to fix Mrs. Garrett's muffler, and because it was backed up with, gas and smoke.
Anyway, Knight is trying to get Buzz in trouble still, saying that it wasn't car fumes that were on his mind, it was Blair boobs. And they have a fight, which is initially unremarkable, but it ends with this couplet, which I liked, which was, how would you like that good conduct medal up your nose? And then Knight goes, care to eat a bugle, klepto?
At that point, it felt like a series of random words just in a weird order.
How is he a klepto, first of all?
Who knows?
And this trash talk is just trash. What's-his-fuck? Dorsey gets in between the two because he's so forgettable. What's-fuck gets in between the two and tells Knight, you're the bugler, blow. I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. I feel like I got too high for this episode because I was like, nothing's making sense.
No, so it's like, you're the bugler. You should blow, kind of blow this popsicle stand. Like, you should get the fuck out of here. You're the guy who plays taps. Get out of here. He just shoos him away.
You blow taps. He never says he plays taps. He says he blows taps.
Okay.
Just be clear.
No. Okay. Anyway. So then,
Buzz gets more penalty hours.
Yeah,
How many till he's kicked out? How many penalty hours till you're kicked out of the school?
No, and Dorsey's like, you have so many, I might need a computer. Which, I guess you can't calculate anything without a calculator. It's so complicated that you need a very, newfangled contraption like a computer in 1982. And then, so he's like, yeah. And then, Mrs. Garrett's kind of pissed off and whatever. And Blair rescues Buzz and says, wait, Major Dorsey, is it against the rules to give my date a goodnight kiss in front of my chaperone? And then we get a full 4 to 5 seconds hold on Mrs. Garrett, where she is doing the grossest, weirdest, like turned on head bobble nonsense, as though she's turned on watching teenagers give one another, like OTPHJs. It's just, she's like, it was unpleasant to see.
I mean, it was like she probably felt as an actress, she's living vicariously through these girls, and this is like Blair's first kiss, even though there's no way it's not. It is.
Her first, this is her first kiss on camera.
Yes.
Yeah. And so then they're like, and then Major Dorsey's like, or General Dorsey, whatever, it's like, yeah, you can, why don't you, rub your parts together, whatever, and gives the go ahead. And then they lean in for the kiss, and then Buzz goes, "Hey, Knight!" So that Knight gets to see him make out with Blair. But he goes, "Now, Blair." And then they make out.
That was a disgusting last ending. Now, Blair.
Now.
Disgusting. It was, what a nightmare of an episode. Yeah, I don't have much final thoughts, except I'm glad that we're past it, but we're going to have to relive it again next season.
Next year.
Yeah. Sometime. Who knows? Maybe we'll be allowed outdoors then.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to not being around these trash people, but being around new trash people next week.
Yes, we get new trash people next week, and then we finally get our good old trash people for the finale.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited for. All right. Well, if you've got no final thoughts,